So my name is Ofer Yaron from the Weizmann Institute in Israel, and I was asked to give a very brief overview of the TNS. So you can already see on this first slide what the TNS is dealing with. So first of all, it's a name server. It designates official names to transients. It's fully searchable, it's citable on the ADS, and it receives reports, and it sends out notifications on the reported transients and other events. And there is also the astronauts, which is a subsystem of the TNS, and I will mention this later. And the team consists of Avishai Galyam, who's the head of the group, and he's also the chair of the IEU Supernova Working Group under Division D. So by the way, if you're dealing with supernovae, and please feel completely free to join the working group. And in principle, the TNS is governed by the decisions that are made at the Supernova Working Group. And we have Avner Sass, who's behind most of the code, Eran Ofek, whom many of you probably know, and Nikola Knežević. He's actually a PhD student in Belgrade, and he's managing a lot of the scripts and things that are related to TNS and WISE-Rep. So before we continue, I just want to stress already at this stage and emphasize that although the TNS was built and created in order to have in place something that is very something that has clear conventions and formats, it is a dynamic system in the sense that we constantly adjust ourselves to the needs of the community, of the transient community and the additional communities that are actually joining in. So for instance, at towards the end of 2019, we realized that we need to split the definition of the source group into two separate fields or properties, which is the reporting group and the discovery data source group. And that's precisely because of this, of all of us entering this new world of brokers. So surveys and groups that are reporting on behalf of the discovering surveys. So here you can see how this change was notified on the TNS, on the newsfeed, and an astronaut that was also submitted. So a few quick notes about what is the TNS. So it's been in operation since January 1st, 2016, replacing previous, the existing CBAT system, the manual system, which clearly cannot cope with the changing world and the increased amount of discoveries. As of now, it holds above 70,000 reported transients, or astronomical transients, ATs we call them. Roughly 10% of the ATs get classified, and the classification is always supported by a spectrum. There's above 1,000 registered users, above 100 active groups. And as I said, the basic TNS object is an astronomical transient with a unique identifier name. And then the AT prefix can later be changed to indicate the classification. So if it's a supernova, it is changed to SN. And most reports are submitted by bots of the major surveys and brokers, but we can also receive, of course, reports interactively using forms from individual people and also amateur astronomers. And the system naturally handles multiple reports on the same event. And we keep a record of all the different internal names and the specific properties that were reported. And we also support now a service for short astronomical announcements, astronauts, which is a superior version of the ATL system that most of us know about. Okay, currently all alerts or notifications from the TNS are distributed via emails, but in future we can of course add other staging or alerting mechanisms. And some of the data can be reported as proprietary. So for instance, if we want not to expose a classification spectrum, we have to provide it to the system, but we can keep it proprietary for some period of time. Of course, the community generally doesn't encourage this, but we wanted to have this flexibility. Groups and bots and memberships, they're all self-managed by the users or the group owners. So again, enabling very flexible handling of access permissions and controlling credits, etc. And we have recently migrated to the cloud platform, to AWS, and that's also in view of adapting and adjusting to the growing demands and towards the LSST era. So clearly, all this increases the high availability capacity, and the system is online almost 100% of the time. The downtime is up to a few hours per year, not more than that. And recently, the fast radio burst community also joined the TNS. Let me skip that because I don't have a lot of time. Here is just a picture of some of the major surveys that are currently reporting to the TNS. You see here PanStars and ZTF, the successor of PTF, Atlas, there's Chime, Gaia, Space Mission, and soon we hope to also have on the TNS the LVK collaboration and also GLBs. We have pages that show statistics on the TNS. So either all the relevant numbers of the reported transients and classified transients, etc. And we also show in a timeline view. So by yearly or monthly or daily cuts, we can see all the data that has been submitted to the TNS. And you can see here that there is a distinction now that we make between the reporting group and the actual discovering survey. Here's an example of brokers' activity. So you can see 80 reports for ZTF and PanStars discoveries reported by various groups. So for instance, if you look, quite a few groups by now, groups and brokers have already started reporting on ZTF discoveries. Alerse began, I think, the earliest. That was towards the end of 2019. And here you see also the Young Supernova experiment reporting on PanStars discoveries. We have a thank you. We have a news feed. We have a help page. And I will not have time to go into all these details, but we have a sandbox environment that exists for experimentation with the APIs. And we ask that all API development is performed against the sandbox. Here are the URLs of the sandbox environment. And we have APIs in place for the submission of reports, for searching of objects, for retrieving of object details, and also downloadable CSVs or TSVs, and also in a scriptable way. For instance, this is how you can create a URL that downloads automatically the results of a query. So all classified supernovae in this example from the beginning of 21. And you see that the format is CSV, and you scroll over the relevant pages to retrieve all the data. And recently, we also decided to stage a CSV that contains all the public objects that are on the TNS, and also some daily delta files. So you can really control locally everything that you need. And if you need to perform heavy operations, such as cross-matching of catalogs and so on, that is not encouraged to do against the TNS directly. Let me jump. So the astronaut system, I will not go into the details here, but we highly encourage to try it out if you have never seen it or submitted astronauts. I will skip all this because I want to get to the final slide. Okay, so just a few clarifications to finish with. The TNS manages discovery and classification information data, not extended light curves or spectral sequences, etc. For this, there are other data repositories such as WISEREF that are relevant. Initiated mainly for supernova candidates, but the TNS also handles other extragalactic transients. There is some gray area here in the definitions, but that's the best phrasing of this.
You're over time now. I'm
yes,
sorry.
I'm finishing. But not variable stars, area transients, I've mentioned. Okay, I think this is clear enough. And please note that API sample codes are available for download on the help page. And do feel completely free to contact us if you have any questions and also suggestions and feedback of things that you might need. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ofer. And since we're a little over time, let's thank all of our speakers again for this session. And if you have any questions for any of the speakers of this session, including Ofer, who just finished, then please go to the Slack or contact them. And we'll move on to the next session, which